on Prime Crime.
Oshkosh police! Anybody else in here? Oshkosh police!
He always had demons. Always. I'm not really sure what provoked him this time.
A relationship between two former Marines comes to a fiery end.
This has a propensity to go very, very bad. God, I don't like this.
At first, it seems the boyfriend is clearly to blame.
He decided that he wanted to be with her, whether she wanted to or not, and he was going to do everything in his power to convince her to do that.
But when the case goes to trial, there are two shockingly different versions of the story.
And he said that she just attacked him and her dad attacked him. His immediate reaction was to shoot him.
And he said, "Hey, boo, what you doing?" When I turned around, there was a laser pointed in the middle of my forehead.
Hi there, everybody. I'm Jesse Weber, and welcome to Prime Crime, where we break down some of the most compelling and memorable true crime cases from across the country. A turbulent 5-year relationship ends, leaving behind an explosive mix of firearms, alcohol, anger. When 3 people are shot, the question is not who did it, but whether the motive was self-defense or settling a score.
What? Oh my God. Oh my God. Winnebago 911, Corey. Corey, Marty, you gotta get this 1700 block of Minnesota Street right now. There's been people shot here. A guy just walked in my house. He's bleeding. Okay, is he in a house there? He was. He just left. He's bleeding and he's got blood in my house. Okay. There's other people here. Just come here.
In the peaceful waterfront town of Oshkosh, Wisconsin, a mass shooting is almost unheard of. But on August 4th, 2020, that's exactly what a frantic neighbor reports to police.
So a 911 call is placed saying that a shooting occurred. Obviously, whenever you have that kind of a traumatic situation, emotions are going to be high, there's going to be a lot of panic, and that's how it played out.
What exactly is going on there? Who's been shot? Sure. You don't understand. There's some people, there's our neighbors. I don't know who's been shot. I'm just standing next to a guy here. John Miller's been shot. I don't know. It's my neighbors. He just came over here. I have them on the way over there. Do you know what the suspect or anybody or anything looks like? No.
Turn off your light. Turn them off. Yep.
All right.
Park right here. Let's get our guns.
Yeah, I'm good. I got one down by the car. Where are you hit?
I don't know.
All right.
We have one male in the back driveway. We have one female inside the garage. I'm taking pulse on this guy. There's a guy right here. I'm taking pulse.
As first responders assess the 2 people wounded in the garage, additional officers arrive. A bleeding man flags them down on the sidewalk in front of the house.
Hey, he's shot? Okay. Hey, let's get you back here. Get back here. Come on. Yep, follow me. Come here. You got up here. Get up here. Where are you shot at? In the face. Got a gunshot to the face. Come back over my squad.
John Miller was shot in the face. It's pretty horrific looking, and he went running to a neighbor who then called 911. So it's a very frantic, very scary scene.
Working on it. Yep. Okay.
Next thing I knew, the guy comes and pulled out a gun. He shot the girl, then shot me, and shot the other guy.
Where's he at?
He took off in a car.
He took off in a car? What kind of car?
I don't know, red car. I don't know. Shot.
The guy that shot him took off in a red car. That's all I got right now.
Any direction to travel?
Which way did he go? He's saying southbound. He pointed southbound. Hey, okay. Let's see what's going on here.
The police, they don't have all the facts yet. They don't know the whys and exactly what happened, but they know they have a perpetrator who has run away from the scene and they need to apprehend him.
But first, police have to sort out exactly what happened here and who needs help. John Miller leads them back to the garage where he and 2 others had been working on an SUV when they were shot.
You have Rebecca, who's in the garage. She's shot, and you also have her father, who's there on the ground in the driveway, laying lifeless, and we ultimately know that he, in fact, did die from that gunshot wound.
Are you injured? Where are you injured?
I don't know.
Okay, can you get up? Can you get up? Can you stand?
No.
Rebecca, who had been shot, was still able to communicate to law enforcement that there was an individual not on scene that had been responsible for this catastrophe.
Rebecca, what happened? You knew what happened? Your
Ex-boyfriend showed up and
What did he do to you?
Did she see where he lives or anything? No. Just Joshua Aide, red Toyota 4Runner. I'm gonna figure that out.
She relayed to them that she had been working on the car with her dad and her dad's friend in the garage, and that Josh had simply walked up the driveway and immediately, upon encountering them, said something to her briefly and immediately opened fire. Josh and Rebecca had met when they were both serving in the Marine Corps. And at the time that they first met, Josh had been married to somebody else, but their relationship soon took off and they dated for 5 years.
That relationship ended and she decided to separate herself. And Josh was set out on making it clear that it's either you're with me or you're with no one.
Rebecca Borkowski's father, James Gruettner, is pronounced dead at the scene, and she and John Miller are rushed to the hospital while police secure the crime scene.
All right. What?
We got a door left, open door left.
Oshkosh Police!
Oshkosh Police!
Do you see anything wrong in there?
No. All right, let me get behind this door.
All right.
I think it was
Yep.
mostly good. All right, good.
Basement's clear. Blue, blue, blue. We're on the 2nd floor.
Law enforcement has to continue their investigation and ensure that they look for any weapons on the scene, any clues whatsoever about what could have led to this.
On the way to the hospital, Rebecca reveals a little bit more about how her ex arrived and started shooting.
So did Josh say anything before?
He said, "Hey boo, what are you doing?"
Hey boo, what you doing?
Yeah.
Okay, and then what happened?
Saw the laser. And I said, "Josh, what the f?"
So when you yelled, Josh, what the f? What happened next?
He pointed the laser at me.
The laser's on the gun?
Yep.
But why did Joshua Aide just show up and open fire on his ex Rebecca, her dad, and her dad's friend? Was it simply a case of jealous rage?
One thing that came out about Josh, he did drink often and heavily, and when he did, it would sometimes lead to violence and physical abuse. And ultimately, Rebecca decided that she did not want to be a part of it.
Rebecca had left and moved to Oshkosh. She told Aide she wanted to return his belongings, including the Tahoe SUV. But there was a problem with the radiator.
So what happened was, I told Josh that I found somebody to fix the radiator. He wanted to know who he was, so I gave him his name and his phone number. John, whatever his phone number is.
John Miller is now in the hospital, being treated for the gunshot wound to his face. Miraculously, he's able to communicate with police and describes the call with Joshua Aide.
And so, and this whole conversation, he said who he was? For you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you guys discussed your abilities to work on the vehicle?
Right.
And then what did he say, if anything, whether you should or shouldn't work on the car?
I suggest you don't show up.
Okay. That's what he said to you?
Yeah.
But John, Rebecca, and her dad end up working on the vehicle anyway. And Rebecca, now also in the hospital, continues the story of what happened in the garage.
John is here, I'm here. We're finishing up tightening these bolts. I have a 10mm socket in my hand. Josh walks around. I can tell he is just effing wasted. I can see it on his face.
So at what point did you see him?
I saw him out of the corner of my eye. John says to Josh, "Are you Josh?" He goes, "Yep." And I was like, oh boy, this is about to, I could just feel it. I could just feel it in my gut.
So then you had time to ask him, "Are you Josh?"
Oh, yeah, he said, yeah. I said, well, your vehicle's ready, sir.
Okay. And then what happened?
He went up to Becky. He says, "Hi, babe." And I had already turned around. But the next thing I heard, pop, huh? And I turned back around. And he was aiming the gun at me. And I just couldn't turn to run, and he caught me.
And then the next thing you know, he went to someone else's house, and that's where he called 911 from.
Soon after the shooting, police receive another astonishing phone call, this one from Lee Hilgendorf, a friend of Joshua Aide's.
Apparently on his way home, he calls his best friend Lee, and he tells Lee this story. He went there and he was attacked. Lee conveys that to the police, that Josh has called him and said that he was attacked.
Did he say what happened?
This is his ex-girlfriend, and from the sound of it, she's nuts. She's a Marine too.
Okay.
She's not all there. And she has his Tahoe. He's got a Chevy Tahoe that's there, and apparently that's what he was going to check on. And he said that she just attacked him, and her dad attacked him. His immediate reaction was to shoot him. Apparently there was her new boyfriend was working on the Tahoe,
Okay.
and Josh said he wounded him.
John was 57 years old. He was a family friend who was helping them work on that car.
Josh believes John Miller is a potential new boyfriend, and he is jealous. It is part of the jealousy, part of the rage that motivates him to come to Oshkosh with a gun.
And he's trying to get back home?
Yes.
Did he make any comments about hurting himself or anybody else?
No, but I'm worried about that because, he realizes he really screwed up, so.
So now they have to identify where he's going, where he may be, because you want to make sure that there's no other people in the public that are in danger, that there's nobody else that he may have in mind that's related to this situation.
Lee Hilgendorf's tip and Aide's cell tower pings show police he's heading back to his home a couple hours away in Monticello. Police set up a stake out there, and since Lee has been talking with Aide all day, they ask him to stay and advise them on his friend's intentions.
If I can make a suggestion, he's really confused.
Okay.
If you guys can hide your cars up by the barn.
Okay.
And we'll just wait for him inside.
Okay.
He is still armed as far as I know.
Okay.
He's a 21-year Marine Corps First Sergeant.
Okay.
And he's been in a little too many tours, okay?
Okay.
I've never heard him this confused, and I've known Josh
Okay.
probably 10 years.
Okay. Do you think it's something that, do you have a good enough relationship that he would turn himself in or come talk to
That's
the
what I've been
police?
talking to him for the last hour.
Okay.
Trying to calm him down.
Yeah. Hey, it's Cody again. Hey, so he is definitely coming back to the house and he's still armed. We just had a friend of his pull up that's been on the phone with him, and he's told this guy everything that he did and that he's coming back here. It sounds like he's got some PTSD issues from his Marine Corps. The friend is saying the house is loaded with firearms, so we do not want him in this house at all, and we're just going to try to get him right in the vehicle.
It was coordinated that they were going to pull him over and make this stop so they can have him isolated. And it was important for them to create a safe enough situation where no one felt the need to act violently or do anything dramatic or drastic at the time of that arrest.
Okay, do you know what he has with him? Did he say?
He carries a 9mm.
Okay.
And it sounds like he also is talking to him and he knows that we're here.
Yeah, well, he's got cameras on the outside of the house, so.
Close to midnight, police spot Joshua Aide's red 4Runner approaching.
Got a vehicle coming right just past the farms up there before the escort.
I want you to stay over until I release you, just because I might need you for a negotiator.
If I could be of any help, I would talk to him, do anything that you need.
Absolutely.
Tension is high as Aide's vehicle comes closer.
So this dude's like a Marine recon. Yeah, this old boy knows how to hunt. Get ready, guys.
This is a big episode that we wanted to bring to you on Prime Crime, and I got to quickly call out one of our major sponsors that help make this possible, Morgan & Morgan. This is America's largest injury law firm. This is a firm with over 1,000 attorneys. You know why they're so big? Because they win a lot. They have recovered over $25 billion for more than 500,000 clients. Think about that. In the past few months, a client in Florida received $12 million after the insurance company offered just $350,000. Out in Pennsylvania, a client was awarded $26 million. That is 40 times the insurer's $650,000 offer. Another client in Pennsylvania received $29 million. That's after being offered only $500,000. And even if you think your case isn't worth millions of dollars, why not just start a claim and fight for what you deserve? Morgan & Morgan makes it so simple. You can start a claim from your phone in just 8 clicks. So if you're injured, you can easily start a claim at forthepeople.com/primecrime or scan the QR code on screen.
This has a propensity to go very, very bad. God, I don't like this.
Just a few hours after the triple shooting in Oshkosh, police stopped suspected shooter Joshua Aide near his home in Monticello.
Stop the vehicle! Sheriff's office!
Sheriff's office.
Josh, turn off the vehicle!
Considered armed and dangerous.
Josh, turn off the vehicle!
Turn the vehicle off. Turn the vehicle off.
When the police pulled over the vehicle, they obviously were concerned that this individual was armed and dangerous as he was being arrested for a shooting, a triple shooting. And so they have to be very cautious when they're dealing with somebody that they know almost for a matter of fact has a weapon on them, and they are prepared to shoot as soon as that individual comes out of their vehicle and surrenders.
We want to help you, Josh. We don't want to hurt you. Just come out with your hands over your head. All right, just step out with your hands over your head. Josh, we got to see your hands. Put your hands up. Come out with your hands up, both of them. Both of them. Keep coming towards me. My name's Cody. I'm the sergeant with the sheriff's office. Just walk towards me, okay, Josh? All right, just keep coming towards me. All right, stop right there. Keep your hands up for me. I know you're a little uneasy. Just keep your hands up. Face away from me. Face away from me. I want you to walk backwards real slowly, okay? Keep coming towards my voice. Keep coming towards my voice. Stop right there. Go down to your knees for me, Josh. Just take your time. Keep your hands up. I know if you got to catch your balance. All right, crawl out to your stomach, Josh. I'm just going to have you lay on your belly. We'll get you up real soon. Stay there. Do not move. You doing all right?
No, I'm fine, yeah.
You all right?
Yeah.
Okay. I was just checking on you, make sure you're okay.
I don't know what I'm being detained for.
Okay. Well, there'll be someone to talk to you about that, okay?
He doesn't appear to know exactly what happened when first apprehended by the police.
All right, so everything went off with no problems. He's definitely under the influence because of his balance to some degree. I am taking him to meet with an Oshkosh detective where they're going to place him under arrest. All right, Josh, this is Deputy Mayor. He's going to give you a ride up to Oregon where you're going to be handed over to Oshkosh Police Department, okay?
Yeah, that's not happening.
Okay.
What am I being charged with?
Right now you are under arrest. They will inform you of the charges up there.
I don't understand what I did.
This is a person that seemingly is unhinged. He was aggressive. He shot people. He's not in his full right state of mind because of intoxication, and you don't know what's going to happen next.
Police managed to get Joshua Aide to the station for an interview.
Can I question why I'm in custody? You're in custody for a shooting that took place in Oshkosh earlier tonight. You're under arrest for murder. For intentional murder. Murder. I think you know.
So Josh Aide, when he is questioned by the police initially, he asks the police who was killed, but they don't give him the information. They don't tell him because they want to question him about it. They don't want to provide him with answers. They want to get the facts from Josh Aide.
Josh, we're not going to play stupid games with you. That's what it is. Okay? And I'm asking you on who. Right. Well, I'm not going to give you the privilege or the pleasure to know who you killed. Okay? One of the 3 people you shot tonight. How's that?
Joshua Aide lawyers up and doesn't say anything more to police. but he's held in jail for almost a year until his case goes to trial. It seems like a shoo-in for the prosecution.
When you have a case where a suspect has the means, motive, and opportunity to commit the crime, it's going to be a strong case for the prosecution going in, unless the defense is able to raise significant reasonable doubt about some of the theory that's put forth by the government.
As it turns out, the defense does raise doubt by presenting Joshua Aide's shocking version of events.
Now, did you have contact with Josh on August 4th?
Yes, I did. I had gone to bed and he called me, so it was after 9 o'clock. His first comment to me was, I killed them all. He said basically what had happened, and he said they kept attacking me. They kept attacking me. Why did they attack me?
At any point on the night of the shooting, did you threaten the defendant in any way?
Oh, no, absolutely not.
Did you observe your father, James Gruettner, or family friend John Miller threaten the defendant in any way?
No.
Joshua Aide pleads not guilty to all 3 counts, 1 of first-degree intentional homicide and 2 of attempted homicide. Since it's the height of the pandemic, many people in the courtroom wear masks.
The state will now make their opening statement. The defense has chosen to defer until the beginning of their case.
It's kind of rare, but in this case, the defense said, we're going to defer our opening statement. We're not going to give you one right now, partly because I don't know if there was much that they felt they could say in defense.
Prosecutor Amanda Nash proceeds with her opening.
The evidence will show that after weeks of trying to change Rebecca's mind about the breakup, after expressing his belief that John Miller was Rebecca's new boyfriend, after demanding Rebecca not touch the temple, after calling Rebecca 31 times in an hour-and-a-half period while he drove over 2 hours to her home uninvited, only 22 minutes elapsed between Joshua Aide's last cell phone tower communication to a completed shooting of 3 people in Oshkosh.
They came forward and specifically said this case is pretty clear, it's cut and dry. This was a jealous or scorned lover who decided that he was going to take the life of the person who did not want to be with him.
At the close of the evidence in this case, we're going to walk through all of this again, and I will ask you to return a verdict of guilty as to all 3 counts.
Rebecca was the star witness in this case because the case, was about her and their relationship.
During the course of your relationship with the defendant, were there some specific incidents of violence toward you?
Yes, there were. I was at Joshua's house. We were planning for a meal with one of his friends. His friend's name is Lee Ildendorf. So Josh had been drinking wine all day in his mason jar. With ice said he liked to pour it out of his fridge. And Josh was getting visibly angry. He starts to make noises with his mouth, and he starts to make comments, and he starts breathing heavily, and his face starts turning red. And all of that was happening. So I was starting to get nervous. I was starting to get scared because I could just feel it coming. Something was going to happen. That's when he took me down to the ground and started choking me.
Did you have any injuries after you left Joshua's house?
I did. I had bruising on my neck, and I had an extremely sore larynx. My throat was extremely sore for weeks after that.
Throughout that relationship, there was just this back and forth about the drinking and about the impact that the drinking had on Josh, on Rebecca, and on their relationship combined. She realized that after that 5-year period, that component of the relationship would not change.
Then, the line of questioning moves to the day of the shooting.
When you first saw the defendant in the moments before you were shot, how would you describe his appearance?
He looked the same as he always does when he's drinking, red in the face, glossy eyes, elongating his words.
When you first began talking to officers or when they first made contact with you, what was your physical condition?
Not great. I was bleeding from the ear. My head hurt really, really bad on the right side. I started vomiting. It was like the room was spinning. I just was not able to stand up on my own, that's for sure.
I think it was very difficult for the defense to get around Rebecca's testimony. She had named Josh as the suspect almost immediately upon speaking to law enforcement when she had been shot and was recovering physically. She provided a history of their communications that were furthering her point that this was a crazed individual that was obsessed with her and had the motive, means, and opportunity to commit these crimes.
But when defense attorney Scott Seaman cross-examines Rebecca, he changes the narrative completely, accusing her of planning to kill Josh.
Isn't that true that you had a plan with John and Jim to kill Josh after you drove him up to your garage that night?
That is not true.
In fact, the plan was to have Jim and John attack Josh while you took a cover position with your 380 in the corner of the garage?
No.
And your mother, Julie Gruettner, was aware of this plan, correct?
My mom was not aware of any plan because there was no plan.
John Miller also testifies, reinforcing the statements he made right after the shooting.
At any point that night, did you, Rebecca, or James threaten Joshua Aide in any way?
No, ma'am.
At any point that night, did you, Rebecca, or James have a weapon?
No.
Did you provide the same version of events to officers that arrived on scene?
Yes, I did.
The defense now presents their opening statement, building on the idea that Joshua Aide was ambushed and acted in self-defense.
We do anticipate that the evidence will show that this was a case of a conspiracy between Rebecca Borkowski, her mother Julie Gruettner, stepfather Jim Gruettner, and John Miller to kill Joshua Aide.
You have both the defendant and one of the victims, Rebecca, who were trained in the military and knew their way around guns. Rebecca owned a number of guns. So that at least helped the defense's theory that they were going to try to ambush Josh, because you could surmise that she would have been armed and ready to do that if it in fact happened.
Now, I can't go into the details with you at this point regarding what happened to Josh during this ambush once he arrived. You will have to hear that from Josh himself. But what I can tell you is that to close the evidence, you will see the only thing Joshua Aide is guilty of is surviving.
The first witness for the defense is Rebecca's own mother, Julie Gruettner, whose husband Jim was killed in the shooting.
Did John and Jim leave for Oshkosh?
They did.
And you testified that they left for Oshkosh to work on the radiator, correct?
Correct.
Now, prior to their leaving, though, isn't that true that John and Jim discussed killing Joshua when they got to Oshkosh?
Absolutely not. My husband was the most kind person in the world. He wouldn't hurt a fly.
When Rebecca's mom testified at trial, she described her deceased husband's character, and she said that he was a peaceful person that certainly wouldn't have anything to do with attacking Josh.
Now, sometime after they had left, you were contacted by a nurse from Mercy Medical Center, correct? And what was that call about?
The nurse had called and said, I have your daughter here. I'm a nurse from Mercy Hospital. I have your daughter here and she's been shot.
And how did you respond?
I had asked if she was alive, and I continued to ask her, where's my husband? Is my husband there?
Isn't that true that you told the nurse that your best friend's husband and your husband were on their way to Oshkosh to kill Becca's boyfriend?
Absolutely not.
Did you not tell the nurse that your husband was on the way to Oshkosh to kill somebody?
I did not.
But when Nurse Nicole Fields testifies, she says that's exactly what Julie Gruettner said to her.
She stated that her husband was on her way to Oshkosh.
Was on his way to Oshkosh?
Yes.
Did she say why her husband was on his way to Oshkosh?
She had told me her husband and his friend were on their way to Oshkosh to kill him.
And what reaction did that have on you?
Complete shock.
So they have this nurse who testifies that she heard Julie say something to the effect that her best friend's husband and her husband were going to Oshkosh to kill her daughter's boyfriend, to kill Josh. That is sort of the bombshell testimony that the defense offers at this trial.
But when questioned by the prosecution, Nurse Fields isn't as certain of what she heard.
Is it possible that you, given her frantic demeanor, misunderstood what she was saying or what she was meaning? It is possible. And did she reference any of the names, James, also known as Jim, and then there's a John and a Josh? I don't recall. Just to get back to that, you did say that it's possible you just misunderstood what she was saying in the frantic nature of that conversation and her frantic condition. I know what she said, but I can't explain how she meant it.
Then, Joshua Aide himself takes the stand.
It's not surprising that Josh testified in this case, because once you put forth a self-defense theory, the defense has to put forth evidence to support that, and that usually would come from the defendant themselves, because they have to communicate to the jury that they reasonably and subjectively believe that what they were doing was necessary to protect themselves and defend themselves.
Aide not only testifies he acted in self-defense, but he provides a motive as to why he says Rebecca attacked him.
Now, when you retired, did you have any SGLI insurance?
I did.
What is SGLI insurance?
SGLI is Service Members Group Life Insurance.
And what was your policy worth?
$400,000 to $500,000.
Who was the beneficiary of that?
Rebecca Borkowski.
Now, are you aware of SGLI insurance that pays out regardless of cause of death?
That is correct.
That includes suicide or homicide?
Correct. Payout is $100,000 immediate upon death certificate, and they'll pay balance within 2 weeks.
There's a life insurance policy that Rebecca can recover if Josh dies, a military life insurance policy that pays off no questions asked. The defense theory is they summon Josh Aide to her house so they can kill him so she can collect on the insurance.
What were your observations upon arriving at Rebecca's residence?
That we're working on the vehicle in the back somewhere.
So after you parked, what happened?
The stepdad was there, and he shoved me backwards.
How did he shove you?
To my hands to my shoulders.
And did the force that he shoved you with have any impact on your body or your approach?
I took like 2 steps back, and then basically I just stepped around him to expose my back towards where Rebecca was. I just started walking backwards.
He started right then with the story that he had been the intended victim, that he had shown up and had been attacked by the others.
So what happened next?
At that point, her dad struck me in my left side with his fist.
Did he strike you with any type of sufficient force that had an effect on you?
Yes, I kind of went at him.
And what happened next?
At that point, he contacted and hit me in the left hand side of my head.
What did he hit you with?
Closed fist.
What, if any, effect did this have on you?
I started to feel kind of dizzy. You see the stars. I thought that I was going to lose consciousness if I take another hit.
Did you have concern that you were going to be killed?
Yes, at that point, yes.
Well, what happened next?
At that point, I pulled my concealed carry weapon out of my left-hand pocket, and Jim was rearing back against me again.
What happened next?
At that point, I shot. Like, I wasn't necessarily aiming. I was literally trying to avoid hitting him.
A person is allowed to use deadly force against another individual if they were threatened with grievous bodily harm or deadly force themselves. There has to be some evidence that's put forth to establish that there was a credible threat to the defendant.
At that point, I immediately spun around as I had no clue what was going on behind me.
And what, if anything, did you see?
So I'm spinning around. The mechanic, John, was in a tomahawk fashion with an object above his head as if he had intended to hit me from the backside.
When you say tomahawk fashion, what are you trying to describe?
So if you were to put something over your head and swing or slash in that sort of motion.
Once you had turned and saw that he had an object in his hands in the tomahawk fashion, what, if anything, did you do?
At that point, I also shot at him.
And why did you shoot at him?
Because he was also making an attempt to induce great bodily harm or kill me, basically.
What happened after you fired at that point?
I can see that Rebecca has a weapon raised to me, and I shot again.
Then, Prosecutor Nash cross-examines Aide.
You'd agree that James Gruettner is late 50s with a guy back,
Sure.
and you're a 20-year Marine.
I am, and I've sustained 20 years worth of injuries.
You're about 6 feet tall,
5'10".
and you weren't able to do anything to defend yourself short of pointing a red laser at James and shooting from the head.
Miss Nash, the feelings that I was feeling at that point were that I was being ambushed and attacked. I had no clue that I was walking into an ambush that night.
As the trial winds down, Joshua Aide continues to insist he was the victim. But will it be enough to justify shooting 3 people in the head?
The defense doesn't have a burden of proving anything, right? The defense can rely on reasonable doubt. But in this case, they have to create enough reasonable doubt for the jury to understand where they're coming from.
Now let me say this, as you're watching this, one of the tools that we use to do research for Prime Crime is actually something that could really be useful to you. It's called Truthfinder. This is a powerful background checker that we use to do research. You plug in a name and you get address information, criminal history, and let me just say, this can give you some peace of mind. Truthfinder is one of the largest public record search services in the United States. And with a paid subscription service, you can get access to unlimited reports about almost anyone. That includes looking up registered sex offenders in your area too. So if you're interested, you can get 50% off of confidential background reports right now. Just go to truthfinder.com/LCPrimeCrime.
There is simply no evidence that Rebecca had a gun on her or threatened the defendant in any way.
In closing arguments, each side drives home a very different theory of what happened on August 4th, 2020.
You heard Rebecca Borkowski and John Miller testify. You saw their demeanor both immediately after the shooting as well as on the stand at trial. Both Rebecca and John testified that the defendant, Joshua Aide, showed up at Rebecca's home and almost immediately began shooting them. They said it at the scene, they said it at the hospital, and they said it at this trial. Their statements have been consistent and credible. Everything they testified to is supported by the evidence you saw in this case.
That is super helpful to the prosecution when you have witnesses that have not been collaborating together, making almost immediate statements about the same version of events.
The defense has presented this elaborate conspiracy theory where James, the deceased, Julie, Rebecca, and John are all in on this plot to get the defendant into a gun battle so they can get his insurance money. It makes no sense, and it makes no sense because that's not what happened. And I'm asking you to find the defendant guilty of all 3 counts charged.
What I want to, I think, focus on and what the evidence has showed in this case is that within a couple hours of the shooting, approximately, Joshua Aide was in custody, and detectives from the Oshkosh Police Department had traveled down to the city of Oregon, placed him under arrest, and essentially at that point, As far as law enforcement was concerned, this case was essentially closed.
The problem for Josh was that there was really no evidence that was consistent with a self-defense with lethal force theory, and it was a desperate attempt to put forth some sort of doubt in the jurors' minds.
Jim Gruettner and John Miller drove to Oshkosh that night to kill Joshua Aide. And the only thing that fits the evidence that makes any sense whatsoever is Joshua Aide walked into an ambush. And the only thing that I stated in my opening statement that Joshua Aide is guilty of is being the survivor. That is why he's not law enforcement's designated victim. And I ask that you find him not guilty.
The prosecution had a very strong case throughout, and I'm sure that when the jury was deliberating, they felt good about their chances. But the reality is that nobody knows what a jury is going to do. Time is sort of stands still for both sides as they wait for that verdict.
Time has now come when the great burden of reaching a just, fair, and conscientious decision in this case to be thrown only upon you, the jurors selected for this important duty. It is for you to determine whether the defendant is guilty or not guilty of each of the offenses charged. We, the jury, find the defendant Joshua W. Aide guilty of first-degree intentional homicide, and lastly, we, the jury, find the defendant Joshua W. Aide guilty of attempted first-degree intentional homicide as charged in count 3 of the information dated Oshkosh, Wisconsin, this 5th day of May 2021, signed by the presiding juror. Lastly, collectively, ladies and gentlemen, are these your verdicts? If so, say yes. Yes.
Before Joshua Aide is sentenced, Jim Gruettner's family has a few words to say about their lost loved one and the defendant's fate.
On August 4th, 2020, the defendant permanently tore my life apart, robbed me of my world and stripped me of my happiness, my hopes, and the dreams Jim and I had as retirement was approaching for him. We were married for almost 32 years, and I expected to live the rest of my entire life with him. The defendant sentenced me and my family for the rest of my life and their life. So I'm asking you to sentence him for the rest of his life without parole.
Your Honor, I feel embarrassed, disgusted, and ashamed. I think I should have died that night instead of my dad. I am responsible for bringing this unlawful being into my life, into my family's, into my family's lives. I now must live with that regret every single day. To my entire family, but especially to my mom, I am sorry beyond words. I believe he deserves to die in a prison cell. Your Honor, I ask the court to impose the maximum sentence with no possibility of parole, even for what the Department of Corrections considers the behavior.
Straight, anything you would say before sentencing?
Yes, Your Honor. On the night of October 4th, 2020, I did not travel to Oshkosh, Wisconsin with the intentions to harm anyone, Your Honor. That's it.
Because of the gravity of the offense and the need to protect the public and not only the victims, everybody that this guy convinces himself did him wrong. Life imprisonment without the possibility of extended supervision is the only just sentence on count 1. And therefore that will be the sentence on counts 2 and 3. But for a little luck, the other 2 weren't dead. They were both headshots. The other 2. So if that doesn't call for the maximum sentence of 40 years initial confinement, 20 years extended supervision on each of those cases, I don't know what does. 3 separate incidents. They're all consecutive to each other.
This is a very heavy sentence, life without parole plus 80 years. But 2 things about that. First of all, it's a horrific crime. It's 3 victims, all of who he shot in the head. Secondly, Josh Aide pled not guilty, never admitted, never conceded, never gave a real apology. And I think all of that weighed on the judge as well. And that's why you have such a harsh penalty here.
And I think it was pretty clear at the end of this case that everybody involved thought he was just a bad person who could not let a relationship go, and it ended up killing someone who really had nothing to do with their relationship and shooting someone else that was just an innocent bystander trying to be a helpful neighbor.
In a jealous rage, Joshua Aide shot 3 people, killing 1. But the wounds he caused are even greater for the women who lost their beloved husband and father, because their grief will last the rest of their lives. That's all we have for you here on this episode of Prime Crime. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Jesse Weber, and as always, stay safe.